You know, this is not a futile exercise. I like what the Bible says, and I won't preach. I could. I'd like to, because a preacher likes to preach after hearing all this. But in 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 14, young people, I'm talking to you. Everybody else can just listen. But I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Okay? I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Neglect not the gift that is in thee. Because God's put something in you. There's no doubt God's put something in you. Don't neglect it. Paul said over here, and I marked it when I was listening, in verse 6 of 2 Timothy chapter 1, wherefore I put thee in remembrance, that thou stir up the gift of God which is in thee by the putting on of my hands. Don't neglect it. God's put it in you, and do what you can to stir it up. Now, we've years ago, thank the Lord, we made a decision, and it was an interesting decision, to bring Brother Caleb and Miss Hannah on to staff here. Our size of church, we thought, I don't know, maybe the math is not right, but we knew we had an opportunity to invest in the lives of some young people. And God gave us the finances. But for a church our size, to have a pastor and have an assistant pastor, it depended on what day it was, whether I was the assistant or the associate, depending on my dad. I'm not sure what he thought. In other days of some other things, that's for sure. And he told me off a few times too. But then to bring on a youth director, I was working with the youth and doing the best I could. I like to think I was. Maybe that's an exaggeration. But I also knew we had a window. And our church had that heart. We had a window to invest. I'm glad we've invested to bring some people in to work in their lives. But I tell you what, it's just futile if young people, if you neglect the gift that's in you. If you neglect it. And I know some of you are a little nervous tonight. I've heard a lot of great things. I've heard a lot of great things. And are you a little nervous? Because we don't ask you to do this all the time. If you had to speak as often as I spoke, you'd excel me in no time at all. You'd exceed me. If you have to sing and do all the things as many times as I have had the opportunity to do it, you'd exceed that in no time at all. So we're not gauging all of that. But what I do sense is a gift in you. All right? So I'm talking to you. If you don't think I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. If you just were up here, I'm talking. And the rest of you are glad for you to listen because it applies to all of us, but don't neglect it. Don't neglect it. God is so cliche, it almost makes me sick to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. God has something special for you. And we make a cliche out of that, but it is so true. Don't neglect the gift that's in you. Just stir it up. And we'll remember nights like this. And I remember I'm seeing some young people that have outgrown the youth group, but you're still serving God. And I say the same to you. Don't neglect it. God started something in your life, and I'm glad you're in this meeting tonight because you're still moving forward for God. Keep on doing it. Some of you haven't been in a youth group like me, haven't been in a youth group meeting in a long time unless you were in charge of it. Right? But don't neglect it. God's put it in us for a reason, and we ought to do what we can not to neglect it and do everything we can to stir it up. Just simple ideas. Young men, you've done a great job handling the Word of God. The singing's been exciting and been encouraging, isn't it? And again, I thank God for it. I don't want anybody to neglect it. It's amazing to think that even in a church like this and in Christian homes like this that we could neglect the gift that's in us, but we can. And we have, haven't we? I have. I know it can happen. Don't neglect it. Stir it up. And we're going to do what we can to stir it up. Again, thank God for the can of vans that God's brought here. That's part of keeping you stirred up. People have a burden for it. My concern in all of it is, Brother Caleb can do everything. I tell people he can do everything I can do and more, and that's the truth. He can preach, he can sing, he can play the piano, he can run our lives through all this. I don't want to get him spread so thin that he can't minister to these young people like it's in his heart to do. I pray about that for him, and I pray for myself. I don't keep adding to his bucket list of things I want him to do. And his wife, they're so talented. And I'm not saying that for any reason except it's the truth. These two young people are so talented, the two of them. I say to you, don't neglect your gift. Okay? I'll give you something to do until the cows come home. All right? And Caleb is the kind of guy that will help me do anything. If I needed to wash my car, he'd try to help me do it, honestly. And he's really good at it, by the way. But, yeah, that is a gift he has. But it excels many of our gifts. I have to say that. He's taught me a few things, by the way. You understand what I'm saying, though? Yeah, these people have a servant's heart, but I don't want you to neglect this gift either, this opportunity. And may God help me not to do it. Just have this one life. And what Pastor used to say, we're shooting through here like a rocket. I refer to Pastor Sexton a lot. He's influenced my life so much. He say we're shooting through here like a rocket. And isn't that true? Like a rocket. I mean, Nathaniel's singing bass. I'm like, where'd that come from? Right? How'd that happen? He's growing up. And my time with him is moving along faster than I want it to. Right. I'll not neglect the opportunity. And really that has just as much to do with us and the Lord as it does with me and him. But my heart's full, you can tell. I'm not sad, but it is a sobering thing. When these young people serve God like this, it just makes, I can't stop thinking about their future. And I desperately, and who am I, but I desperately want you to follow the gifts that God's put in you and serve God with all your heart. Bella, you stirred me up when you said God gave you a purpose. I've heard many people say that, but you said it with such conviction, it just almost brought me to my knees. That we have a purpose, and let's find out what it is. We have it as a church. We certainly have it as individuals. Let's not neglect it. Let's do everything we can to stir it up. Amen? And may God bless all of it. Let's pray together. Father, thank you for this truth and allow me to share a few thoughts. Oh, my. We have such an accountability to you, Lord. Such an opportunity. And this life is pulling us in all sorts of directions, and we're letting it happen. I'm letting it happen. Oh, God, I pray that we could see what you see, value what you value. And thank you for speaking through these young people's service to you tonight to remind me to stay on task. And remind me to give myself to the things that you have given me to do. God, help me to know that. I pray they would know, and I pray everybody under the sound of my voice, people no doubt gathered at the live stream listening tonight, God, this is for all of us. And I pray you just work in our lives. Continue to work in our lives. Help us to know what you made us for, and then help us to do it with all of our might for your glory. We pray it in Jesus' name. Our heads are bowed and our eyes are closed, and these young men have preached, and people have sung the truth, and God, no doubt, has spoken to my heart, and I've had the privilege to share it with you for a few minutes, but God may have spoken to your heart. And if he has, I'd like to give you an opportunity to respond to him. Give you an opportunity to respond to him. They'll play a hymn in just a moment. All for Jesus, all for Jesus, all my being's ransom powers, all my thoughts and words and doings, all my days and all my hours. We'll baptize in just a moment. We want to make ready for that if we can. You may go ahead. But if God's speaking to your heart and you're ready to sign up and get in tune with what God's giving you to do and not neglect it. In fact, God, I'm not going to neglect it. I'm going to stir this thing up best I can with your help. Anybody ready to do that tonight? I'm ready to re-enlist. I don't know about you. And I'm saying, put me on the front line of the battle, Lord, if it be thy will, and let's go. Let's go do it. What a privilege. What a privilege. We'll stand together if we could, please. And we'll have this hymn of invitation for just a moment. Ask Caleb to lead this while I make ready for the baptism. But you know what to do. God's speaking to you. If God spoke to you, if God's working on you about your salvation, why don't you just go ahead and get saved? Why not? If God's working on you about getting things settled with him, get it settled. If God's working on you about his will for your life, let's do that. Let's do that. The time is now. The opportunity is now. It's time to strike while the iron is hot. It's time to go all in for Jesus. All in. Whatever's holding you back, let's get it out of the way for God's grace. Brother Caleb, you lead the rest of this now, and I'll make ready for this baptism, but I pray some folks will surrender to the Lord tonight. I'm trying my best to do that. All for Jesus, 493.